Hello again, everyone. Today we're with Delano Cann, and he has some questions about how to host on Airbnb. So I asked him if we could film today. Delano's a friend of mine, so he graciously said that we could. Thank you, Delano. And I figured that you probably have some similar questions to other people so maybe, it'll be helpful, hopefully, for other people. Yeah.
Yes. So I appreciate you for taking some time to meet with me and to answer a couple questions. I'm trying to renovate one or two apartments, and this is not here in Japan, but perhaps in the Caribbean.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of gears that have to be working together in sync.
Right.
In order to make this a very successful business. And I watched some of your videos. They're really good.
Thank you.
Thank you for making them.
Yeah, someone watch my videos.
Yes. I even subscribed and clicked on the like button.
Even better. I like this man.
Yeah. So from judging from what I heard from your video, you started this in 2015,
right?
And you seem to have really made a go for it, and it's turned out to be very successful for you,
right?
And I wonder if there are, is there a market for this in Japan in terms of other teachers, for example, doing this as a side hustle or a side business? Because I don't hear about it so often.
Right. Japan's become a lot tougher. It was really easy. It wasn't easy, but it was easier in 2015. Yeah. It was in a gray area, so there weren't any regulations. Mm-hmm. So you could kind of open, but you weren't really legal, but you weren't illegal. Mm-hmm. Now it's quite regulated. So actually, I was just answering a question from another viewer about starting your English school video. And I said it's actually easier to start an English school in Japan in many ways than a guest house business because of the bureaucracy, because of the regulations. It's actually more bureaucracy to start a guest house than to start an English school, as far as I know. I started my school years ago, but I don't think much has changed. I mean, no one's contacted me recently to tell me that. So,
you have many pots on the stove. You have a school also?
Well, the school actually, we're really just doing online classes at the moment. On Udemy, I hope to do that, but and just university work, trying to concentrate on that. But I think the first thing to do would be to determine if you do have a market in your area in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. And then if that looks good, and you can do that on Airbnb, and I would believe those results. You can actually plug in your address on the Airbnb app and see an estimate of your monthly income. And I didn't believe it at first. And I didn't do anything for a few years because I thought, oh, this is hype. But I think it's pretty accurate. Yeah, I vouch for it now because, I've proven it with my guest houses. So I would do that. And then if that looks good, then I would look at, reforming it for the purpose of being a guest house.
So what you're saying is that if I go to Airbnb and I plug in the address, that will create a kind of estimate of the potential income.
That's right.
Okay, that might help to convince, some people not,
right.
To do it or not.
I can theorize who the people are. Convince my wife.
Yeah, exactly. So, how about your if you're doing it in Japan? You have to go through all the paperwork in Japanese.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's got about 18 properties in Japan. Wow. I don't think he's doing Airbnb. I actually want to meet him to talk about what he's doing. But I think he's just renting out to, families and stuff, which we are doing as well. One of our properties, we don't do Airbnb. We have 4 properties in Japan. One we live in, and then one we rent out to a family. And the one we rent out is because it's just too difficult to get to. It's too difficult to explain how to get to if it's someone coming from abroad, or which bus stop to get off at, and it's just too difficult. So it's not really suitable for Airbnb. So that's the next thing you have to determine about your Caribbean properties, or if you're going to do it in Japan, is it near a station, like a train station, or a bus stop that's easily explainable, and then can someone who's jet lagged and not familiar with the area, can they, and at nighttime, because some of the people you can tell them that, no, I don't want you arriving at night, but still some of them will. Can they do that? And would they be able to do that without disturbing the neighbors and all that stuff? So lots of things to consider, but if you can tick all those boxes, the potential income could be up to, I would say, about 3 times what you would get from normal rent. So that's the thing.
Oh, I see. But what about with furnishing? How some people say if you have a good location, then you don't have to overdo it or go overboard with furnishings. You don't need an aquarium to help decorate the place.
Yeah.
Maybe you can use fake plants as opposed to real plants.
Sure.
I heard in one of your videos that one of the important things is declutter.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just thinking that as you were saying it, and thinking about my own house. Yeah. Wish we hadn't bought so much stuff, so much junk. Yeah. Simple is best. Yeah. Don't. And we have a few different units. We have 2 guest houses, but 3 kind of full house units, whole house units on Airbnb. You can rent things as a room if you want. You have different options of how you want to rent your place out. I've come to the feeling that I want to rent out the whole place. It's just less hassle.
When you say place, you mean like an apartment. So an apartment might have 2 or 3 bedrooms in it.
Right.
And there may be some guests who want to just have a room.
Right.
In one of the in an apartment in hope of saving money,
right?
And or they just like the idea of for safety. They would rather mingle with locals or other travelers. What's the difference between the people who want to rent one apartment as opposed to a room in an apartment?
I've done both. I've had different. Just renting individual rooms in the house, and I've stayed there too. It's been okay, but I don't think anyone loved it. But I think people do love it when it's totally private and they don't have to share a bathroom with someone. And it's also, I think it's actually safer for them. There's less potential. There were never any conflicts that I knew of, but I think it's less troublesome. Yeah. I think Airbnb actually prefers that too. It's a little bit safer, and I think you get better review ratings. You get rated as a host, so I think you get better reviews.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will ask, is this a private place? And they're happy when it is. So yeah, I think I would recommend that. Yeah, that you rent the whole place for one group or a couple or whoever it is.
I see. Now in the real estate business, or anywhere when you go outside in public spaces, there's a big push now to be wheelchair accessible, or the person has some sort of physical challenge that they can open traditional knobs, but maybe it has a lever or a certain height, or person in a wheelchair is able to open the door, but if they're in a wheelchair, the door pulls out, it's kind of more tricky. So Is that an important factor in any of your properties?
Yeah. One of our places, we can't do it. It's a really high staircase to reach the unit. And then we've got a Canadian house here in Japan. And again, I think it's kind of too difficult. It wasn't really built that way. One place we could potentially do that. That might be a project for the future. But just getting the door replaced was over $7,000. So I guess you have to sort of look at each thing.
Yeah.
You want to be kind to people. For example, I went on the Costco Japan homepage and I saw a hot tub, a jacuzzi.
Wow. Okay.
And wow, that would be kind of cool. Then I thought, then the businessman came in and said, well, would this gain you guess? It was over 1 million yen, so over $10,000. And would I get $10,000 worth of more guests? And probably not. It probably wouldn't pay for itself. It'd be kind of a cool perk, and I'd like to use it, but yeah, the reality is it's difficult. So I think accessibility is something that's great, and Airbnb totally wants that. They want accessibility, but yeah, I think you have to factor in what you can do and what you can't do. But if you can, if you can reform the place to do that, then and it's easy enough to do, then great.
Yes. I remember a couple of months ago, you said if I join up as a host for Airbnb, I should click on a link that you sent me, or somehow it connects to you.
Right.
Just since I'm just putting my foot in the door now, what are the steps? How long is the procedure to become a host? So if I'm planning on doing this in 2022, does this mean then that it's a 6-month project? Is some kind of quiz or test or license or contract I have to sign? Or
right? Becoming a host, I think, is pretty easy, but yeah, I don't think there's a lot of paperwork that way. But working on your listing, getting photos done that show your listing, your unit well, is going to take some time. If you're going to do it in Japan, it's going to be a 6-month project to get approved, and you're going to need maybe your significant other, who I understand is Japanese, or someone who's able to hire an assistant, which I did, a Japanese assistant, to go through all the paperwork. And not just any assistant. It's going to be not everyone can do it. It's pretty difficult. So yeah, in Japan's case, it's quite strict. That's why I think there aren't so many. You mentioned teachers. I think there aren't so many people doing it. There are quite a few people buying up houses and renting them out. But I don't think there are that many doing Airbnb in Japan, unless they maybe already have a place and they're willing to go through that process, because it's not easy. And that's the reason why I haven't done more, because it was tough. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
Not saying you can't do it, but it's tough. But I think every country is different, it seems. I get the feeling in the States that it's maybe easier, or there are people operating in that gray area. I'm not sure. It seems to almost vary by city or state, is my understanding. But I don't know the state situation so well. I know Japan well. So yeah, I would check. I would advise any one of you thinking of doing this to check your local area. What are the rules? Contact City Hall, find out what the situation is. So before you do anything, is there a market? And can you even open in the city? Some cities, I think, are quite against Airbnb. It's like a threat in terms of lack of rental space for regular people. So you need to do your due diligence on all that. So don't listen to everything I say, but you got to do your do your research.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So according to your video, you said you started in 2015, and your first property. When you say property, you just got a foot in the door by renting out a room in your home, correct?
That's right. Yeah. You really did watch my videos. Good man.
Yeah.
I just thought I find whenever you do things like this, you have well-meaning friends and relatives who kind of say, "Don't do it. It's a risk. Don't do it." But I wanted to try it, and so I rented out. I offered the one room at a discount,
Okay.
and I gave them tickets to go to a local hot springs as well. Wow. And I filled up May. I thought, okay, well, this is interesting. There's obviously a market. How much money it will make, I'm not sure, but obviously there is demand, because I gave away tickets to the hot springs, and sure, I discounted my room, yeah. But I think, I'm onto something. So that got me thinking, well, what if I open up more rooms and, offer the whole house, and what would that do? And then I realized I had another property as well that we weren't doing anything with that we could do. Yeah.
Oh.
So I would maybe, I don't know if I'd say start small, but I would trust the Airbnb calculator. If it says that you can make money, then I would think about it. And if it doesn't, then I would listen to that as well. Yeah. A buddy of mine's down in Shikoku, and he was wondering about it. Uh-huh. And it basically told him, the app told him that it wasn't such a good market. So, the other thing you can do is you definitely do the app thing, plug in your address, see if it's good. Also, check out the competition. Check out the other Airbnbs in your area. Are they making money? Yeah. Are they booked? You can check their calendar. You can go on, like you're going to travel to your area. Yeah. Check the calendar and see if it's booked up.
As part of my research for the last maybe 4 or 5 years or 6 years, I hardly ever stay at a hotel. So I stay at Airbnb.
Okay.
And I do some research, take some photos, and try to imagine what it would be like as a host.
Yeah.
What makes a stay pleasurable, or what makes it
right
easy to check in, those type of aspects.
Right.
I've never really had a bad experience.
Good.
Staying when I was in Santa Barbara, I tried staying in a room in an apartment where the owner was there also.
Oh, okay.
So,
right.
His kitchen and his cupboards, everything was there.
Right.
I was only there for maybe 2 or 3 days, but I just wanted to see what it would be like if you had a room in your house and you wanted to just rent it out.
Sure.
So it was a good experience. It's kind of nice to have a chance to talk to someone who's a local. Yeah. And of course, you can get information on Google about what coffee shops or restaurants and X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But it was just kind of nice to come back sometimes and have a casual chit chat with a local. You know? So you still have your privacy when you don't want to chit chat. You just go back into your room,
sure,
and whatnot. So that was a very good experience. So basically, what you're saying is that you rented out the one room in your place so you could experience or get to some kind of profit quite quickly because it was just a room in your house.
Quite quickly. I'm just sort of thinking, did we have a profit quite quickly? I don't know if we had a profit quite quickly. We spent a lot of money to reform our house that my 3 children and our family had used for 20 years or so at that point. So it was an older house. It was a really nice house. I mean, it is a nice house, but we needed to things we gotten used to, like the shower had broken very quickly after we moved in, and we just sort of we just dealt with it. We didn't really worry about it. But as a friend of mine pointed out, you can't rent this place with a broken shower. You got to get that fixed. So yeah, we did. There were lots of little things we had to fix. So I don't know if we turned a profit for a while. Yeah, maybe it took a year or two. But I didn't worry about it so much because we were reforming our property.
Yeah.
It was, the money was going into what we owned, and it felt good to fix up our house. I would say now I'm slowly making money, and I have done over the years. But during the pandemic, it's been tough. It's been terrible, frankly. Yeah, it's been really tough. But and then Japan's being very conservative about opening up. But the latest news is that we're probably going to open up more and more. And the great news, if you were going to think about doing this in Japan, and if you were willing to go through the process, Japan years ago was committed to getting 10 million tourists a year. And I kind of laughed at that news. I thought, yeah, right. But they did it. And then 20 million, and I think they did that. For the Olympics, they were anticipating 30 million, but then COVID went down. So, but I think they would have hit it. Now they're determined to get to 60 million tourists by 2030. And I think they're very serious about this because it's part of their grand economic plan. So if you can somehow get in on the action, whether it be renting, a unit, or Airbnb also offers Airbnb experiences. You could, offer a tour. You can offer the whole gamut of things.
Experience, karaoke, biking.
Yeah, whatever, you name it. Tennis lessons. I don't know, whatever you want. Yeah, want to do. Basketball. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. One of my friends, she does yoga. She does yoga lessons, or she was doing yoga lessons, and she was doing ghost stories in her town. Yeah. And some people are doing stuff it's totally online. Others are doing it in person. And back to what you were saying about hosting, I've done both. I've done the situation you talked about where you're in the building and you're in the house and with your guests and talking to them and available for them. I've also done remote hosting, which is what I mostly do now. So I check emails and I email them, and I've got staff in the area in case there are any problems. And I check, basically I log onto a computer or my phone and I check for messages every time. Yeah, and then respond and make sure they've checked in okay. And tonight, a couple were checking in, and I checked on them, and they said, "Oh, by the way, can we stay another night?" So I said, "Sure." So I sent a request to Airbnb about them staying another night, and then they have to approve that. So you get these little tricks down as you do it.
But if you are sending a message to Airbnb in Japan, are you doing this in English or in Japanese?
I do everything in English, and there's a translation function, which is great. Yeah, it's really, I think it's one of the best translators out there now. Better than Google, and as good as or better than DeepL. Yeah, it's really, it may be made by DeepL, I'm not sure, but it's really good. Actually, the guest tonight, I'm not sure if he's Japanese or not. He's requested in English, so I'm just going back and forth in English with him.
So when you say remote hosting, it means that you are living in a different place, a different city, and the guests are checking into a different unit somewhere else. So you may never meet the hosts. You may never meet the guests face to face.
That's right. Yeah. Actually, now I usually don't meet them face to face. Yeah. Before I did all the time, but now I don't. I think for me, that's what suits me. I do enjoy talking to guests when we get together, and I've learned so much.
Yeah.
But as you know, I'm also teaching university, which people are in a job. So I think I want to do this long term.
Okay.
And to prevent my own burnout, I think this is the way I want to do it. I think if I had to be in the house all the time, I don't think I could do it for 7 years. Not that I don't love guests. I love you, but please keep coming.
Okay.
And I'll come see you if you want me to.
I have another couple questions for you.
Right.
So would you say then that the type of people who are successful with Airbnb are the type of people who are interested in real estate, or they're people, or or they're more business savvy, or maybe it's a kind of a holy triangle, a triad.
Yeah, I would say all of those people you mentioned.
Three aspects.
Yeah, but especially the people.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who like people are the loveliest people. Oh, sorry. They of course maybe want to host in person. Mm-hmm. But I think, I love people. I know you do too. But you've got to, you got to think about being with people all the time, and could you handle that long term? Maybe you could. I don't know.
Just the idea of doing the remote hosting, I think, is a wonderful opportunity, because maybe for most people, if you are busy working from a 9-to-5 job, and then you're able to leverage your time and energy, then there you go.
That's what I love. I spend, once it's all set up, I've got my staff, and we communicate by line message. We've got two different line message groups. Mm-hmm. And of course, I can message them individually too. I spend minutes a day on this business. Mm-hmm. And I've, not during COVID, but during good times, I've made a 5-figure income easily from this business. Wow. With two guest houses, mm-hmm. Not in a major tourist area, but near a major tourist area. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a major tourist area, I think you can do a lot better than I am doing.
Yeah, the property is in the center of town, so it's in the main area,
right?
Tourist area. So all the other Airbnb apartments are all basically sold out.
Oh, okay.
So
well, that's great. Yeah, that sounds. I envy you. Yeah, sounds like a great area.
Yeah, ranging from $300 a night down to $100 a night.
Wow. Okay.
So it's quite a
that's great. Our area is a little bit off the beaten path, mm-hmm. So I can't charge so much. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit of a we're not in the best situation, but yet we're making income. So I think again it shows you that there's potential.
There's potential.
Yeah.
Oh, so what type of advice would you give to someone in terms of putting a team together? Because when you say a team, you don't necessarily need an accountant. You just need a cleaner or a handy person,
right,
to fix things. When you say team?
Yeah.
What
do I mean? Yeah. People you can trust because they're going to be in your house. Mm-hmm. I assume maybe you can have mail delivered to your place still. I'm not sure, but you want people that you can trust.
Yeah.
Actually, I would limit how much mail is coming to your place as well, because while most guests are fine and good people, there's a bit of a risk with mail and all that, your personal information going there. Good, reliable, trustworthy people. If you're gonna hire cleaners, people who are good with that. I've mostly hired homemakers because Japanese homemakers are very good at taking care of the house and cleaning. 2 or 3 of my staff have previous hotel experience. That's not absolutely necessary. Often their experience wasn't, cleaning. It was more at the front desk or whatever. But people who are good with people who are a bit flexible with people from other countries, because you're getting people from all over the world. Mm-hmm. Preferably people who can speak, a couple of languages, in our case, Japanese and English, hopefully. Yeah. But at this moment, only one of my staff would be fluent at English other than myself. Mm-hmm. But you know, with the messaging app, if you're going to host from remotely like I do, it doesn't matter so much because of the translation function. Communicating with guests is fairly easy because of the translation function at Airbnb. But it's good to have some staff that are bilingual with, in my case, English and Japanese.
So bilingual, meaning that this team that you have, the reason that you would need them to be bilingual is that since you're doing this remotely, if something breaks or something is not working correctly, this member of your team would have to go in and assess the situation physically in person.
Yes. And although probably a lot of our viewers haven't been to Japan or lived in Japan, although I speak Japanese, as a friend of mine said, we are functionally illiterate. Japan has 3 alphabets, as you know, and I can read 2 of them. Maybe you can do. I'm sure you can do. I'm not so good at kanji, the 3rd one. So yeah, I need people who can do that. I think I would need that anyway in terms of my life. Just need assistance here and there. But yeah, people who can help you deal with the bureaucracy of your area if you're going to do it in another country that you're not familiar with. But I think you're familiar with whatever area you want to.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, the idea, I heard this idea from another YouTube channel, and the guy suggested finding someone who's a host, who's they're doing it as a business. So they would find someone who has a property and then manage that property for the person, for the landlord.
Actually, I can do that. I'm a certified property manager.
Yes.
But I haven't wanted to do it. I just wanted to concentrate on my own business. But I've had people ask me to manage their properties. But yeah, I would be an example of someone who has that license in Japan that can do that. I can actually do that. But yeah, no, that's not a bad idea. It's just you're going to be paying that person. Depends on what they charge you. Yeah.
So if I'm the landlord, for example, and I have a quote unquote business partner, and maybe they, for 1 month, for example, they would handle all of the transactions and the emails and stuff like that. So then and then at the end of the month, they would collect 10%, for example, 10% of the profit that we would be pulling in, for example. So the more money we generate, then the more income they get. So
that's a good idea. Yeah, profit sharing. Yeah.
So I thought that would be one alternative, because if I'm here in Japan and then you get a business partner, then this business partner is already managing other properties close by. So they already have a track record. They already have a team set up.
Okay.
So just adding another unit to the list.
Yeah, if it's good, just maybe it's a great deal. Yeah, just do your due diligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that exists in Japan too. It's just I've never done it myself and haven't felt the need in Japan. But maybe for your situation, it might be better that way, depending on what they're going to charge you for that and how good they are.
Yeah.
I've got one assistant manager who's bilingual. She has hotel experience. She's bright. She is diligent. She's intelligent. I said that she's bright. And she went through the whole bureaucratic process, which was not easy to get us approved.
Okay.
And she deals with all that stuff. And she is kind of my right-hand woman and keeps things going. She's gold. So if you can find someone like that, whether it be through a service like that or one person, someone you can really rely on, someone who's got your back, especially if you're not going to be there. But yeah, I would really check out this group and make sure they're really what you want. Check out reviews and ask around.
Yeah, exactly. So have you joined or created any other type of Airbnb hosts for non-Japanese people in Japan? Is there a network of people like that?
There is. I belong to a few different Facebook groups. There are groups through Airbnb. I'm a member, but I actually haven't attended any events. There used to be a lot more foreign hosts, but I think with the regulations, I think a lot of them gave up. So I don't see as many of them anymore. Mostly I just kind of contribute or read some of the posts at Facebook for Airbnb, and like yourself, watch videos. Try to get ideas, try to steal ideas.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about you said you have some sort of license for being a real estate?
Yeah, Japanese property management license. I've got a Japanese property management license, which allows me to manage any property in Japan. So,
but how many non-Japanese people in Japan have this license? Can you talk to me about that? Have you made a video?
I would think very few. Very few. I was amazed when I got it. But I had actually managed properties. With my English schools, we had 4 branches of my schools, and we had teachers living in apartments that we rented out. We sublet to them. So my wife and I had effectively managed properties, with these teachers. So, and that was over 20 years or so. Okay. So I use that experience as evidence that I've already done this already. So boom, I got my license. It was great. But my assistant, got this for me. She filled out all the paperwork and did all this for me. I told her, my experience with this. So I don't think anyone can get that, but I think I got it because of my English school experience. It kind of fell together. So, yeah, but I think I could pursue this aspect and probably, create another career. But I enjoy teaching. I didn't really want to move in that area. I've had people approach me, as I said, but haven't chosen to pursue that. If I was going to do it, I would just open up another property myself, I think.
Okay. And just basically two more questions for you. What do you wish, knowing what you know now, what do you wish you had known from the get-go?
I wish I'd studied for this.
Studied for this interview? For Airbnb?
Good questions. What do I wish I know? I wish I'd started earlier. I wish I trusted the Airbnb app and started, earlier than 2015. With anything you want to do that's different, I think your partner, your family members, your friends, they all mean well. And I think it's a human condition in that we try to avoid risk. And if you're going to do something like this, it's a risk. But I think you need people around you who are going to support you and help you to foment the idea of how you're going to do this. So don't let them criticize. Don't let them turn you off. Have them help you with the idea. After doing that, like another day, then they can talk about the problems. But don't let them destroy your energy before that. And I don't mean to criticize my friends or throw my wife under the bus or anything. But I just think that people mean well, but they want to warn you.
Yeah, people are also afraid of the unknown.
They're afraid of the unknown, yeah.
Nobody knows how an airplane really works.
Right.
They just, it's going to fly.
Yeah.
Data shows it's going to fly, but still people don't know how an airplane really stays up in the sky, but they still trust that everything will work out well. So they are unfamiliar with the Airbnb concept and they haven't stayed at an Airbnb. I've asked so many countless numbers of people, and people really are not so aware of it. And,
right. Yeah, no, I would. So use the people in your life. I mean, use them to help you, but have them support you at first, and then later on, let them critique what you're doing, because they're important to point out what you're missing. So that's really good, especially if you have a really critical friend who likes to sort of point out what's wrong with things. Use them because they're gold. But don't let them deter you. So I would have started earlier. I'd really try to determine who your customers are going to be. I thought we would get a lot of families at one of our units, but we tended to get young people and couples, and we decorated it with kind of Disney characters and all this stuff, and it was okay, but we got mostly Chinese guests, and I'm not sure they were so into the Disney stuff, so I decided I'd change it. I really listened to guests' comments because I still do. I mean, you're always learning. But they see things you don't do because they're staying there a lot. So we revamped this one unit that I'm thinking of that was all kind of Disney stuff. And now it's kind of America 1950s. It's a lot more space, a lot decluttered, and it's very popular. So yeah, that was one thing that I learned. So really think about who your
future clientele might. Did you hire a professional photographer? A lot of people on YouTube suggest that. I
did eventually. Actually, I hired a former student from one of the universities.
Oh, cool.
I took the pictures first of all, and then hired him to do some as well. And guests actually have taken good photos here and there. So I've used, if with their permission. But it's a good idea if you can do that. You get someone who really knows how to take those architectural photos.
Also, I noticed on Airbnb, a lot of hosts tend to not create a niche or a theme. They want everything slick and chic, or they have a Caribbean atmosphere.
Right.
So it's either one of the two. Then no one's going to go like the Hawaiian theme or Asian theme with tatami or some sort of golden golden screen divider or room divider. I guess when you're decorating your units, is there something that you would suggest to your listeners out there to keep the rooms more standardized or more neutral, or create a niche or theme?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about this. I love decorating. I was so sad actually when I finished decorating everything. I was like, I want another unit. I want to decorate more. This is fun. I like a niche. I'm not sure if that's good advice, but it's worked for me so far. The Canadian house, it looks like kind of a Victorian style building. It's got lots of wood. So, but there are some people who don't like that. Foreigners love it, especially after they've been staying in Japan for a while. They're just like, wow. And some of the Japanese absolutely love it. And some of the Chinese absolutely love it. Some don't, though. Some don't like the smell of the wood. It's kind of a unique smell. So you're going to get people all across the map, but people are going to look at the photos and kind of go, oh, wow, I like that. Yeah, I like that wood. Or they're going to go, I don't like that wood. I'm going to choose a different place. I like the niche aspect. I think if you don't want the niche, then maybe stay in a hotel where you get sort of the same rooms. But I could be all wet, but I think it's worked for me so far. One of the units is kind of old Wild West cowboy style. And I was thinking that would be kind of cool for the Japanese to stay at. They kind of go, wow, I'm in old America for the day or whatever. And they tend to think it's kind of cute. They like that. And kawaii or cute, as you know, is a big thing in Japan. And then there are two apartments, and the downstairs one is kind of the 1950s, which they like, and it's a big space, which they like. But the foreigners like it too. I think they've often come for 3 weeks, and then they want kind of a space that they've got some room. They're not in a small tatami mat room, or they like that. My bias is for a niche. That's my bias.
Where do you get your material or your goods? Like some sort of not your standard traditional furniture shop, I assume.
Right. We mostly had everything actually, and it came from IKEA in Canada, but the good IKEA. It was different levels of IKEA. It was the good stuff. Okay. We think it was the good stuff. So we had a lot from IKEA, and then one guest house. Part of it was my wife's store. Mm-hmm. She had some old furniture, but it was kind of unique furniture, and I just thought, if we put a coat of paint on this, it'll be nice. And so that's what we have there. We've got a lot of stuff, and it's amazing what you can do with a coat of paint, new knobs, maybe a bit of tile here and there. You can totally transform things. So that's what we did with that.
So you didn't need an interior coordinator or architect, or?
We didn't need it, but in one unit, actually, when it was sort of the Disney thing, there were other things that were wrong. The door was getting old. The ceiling sort of had these rails and lights up top. It just didn't look good. Yeah. So I did spend a lot of money to get the ceiling redone. Okay. Got the ceiling redone with wallpaper that actually has stars and it glows in the dark at night. So it's kind of cool. And got some lights from America and lights from some of the kind of the chic, interesting shops in Japan. Okay. And made this kind of 1950s, 1960s theme in that room. And now it's a hit. Now that room is popular and we consistently get good ratings. But we weren't getting such good ratings before. So I had to change it around.
Yeah. There seem to be two philosophies. If you have one big unit, like in a house or something, then all 4 apartments or all 4 rooms, for example, would have the same theme. That way, if apartment A is sold out, the other future clients or whatever could just rent out another room, B or C. If you have a theme place and the cowboy room is rented out, they really wanted to stay at the cowboy room.
Good point, yeah.
You have all 4 cowboy rooms. Then, if A is busy or sold out, then you could gravitate towards the other rooms that are open.
I like that idea. Yeah.
So, I'm trying to decide, is it better to have different themes or all the same format, but just maybe the kitchen is a different color or the bathroom is a different color, tile.
Yeah, no, I like your idea. I think your idea might be the best one. The cowboy thing, I don't even know why I did it. I just started decorating it and it was fun. I wasn't even doing Airbnb then. I was sort of wondering, why am I doing this? But it was cheap. It wasn't expensive to do. I was just buying sort of basic wood and enjoying it and sort of thinking, trusting that I'm doing this for some reason. And then, okay, I'm doing it for Airbnb. I'm doing it for a guest house. So maybe it might have been a good idea to have the same kind of theme in both. But I guess part of it was sort of my hobby. So maybe that was not a good idea. I like your idea better, actually, finding one that really works well. Yeah. Then again, I sort of think I'm creating competition. I've got sort of 2 different things on offer. So if you want like the big Canadian house, you got that. But if you want sort of a room that's a bit closer to the bigger city, I've got things like that too that are different theme.
Yeah, for most of the time when I'm staying at Airbnb, if I'm traveling by myself, like when I was in Santa Barbara and I stayed in a room in an apartment, it was just a regular white bed and just a lamp space for my suitcase and a closet, and it was good enough.
Okay.
When I was in Oregon, there's a lady there who is the host. They have a light shop. So they have several types of light fixtures. And it was just over the top and it's like artwork.
Right.
So beautiful.
Right.
So I think creating some sort of theme in one apartment and using, so if you're into reading or creating some sort of a reading space,
right,
or library theme,
right,
that's cozy, a cozy chair.
Right.
But, you know, people who are traveling, I'm not sure if they're interested in being cozy and having a library nook.
Right.
So, but maybe people travel to have a taste of something that they don't have in their own home. So
right.
There you go.
Yeah. I should point out too that the building with the cowboy style and the 1950s style room, it already looked kind of like an American style cabin or house with kind of a little veranda going all around it. So it looked like kind of a Wild West, a little bit like a Wild West building. So I thought, well, why not make the interior like that? So I think that was kind of my thinking. Yeah, but yeah, I like your idea of, you know, finding a theme that works and then making all 4 rooms in that theme. I think that's a good one.
Yeah. So right now I'm hiring an architect because I have to renovate some old apartments.
Right.
And so I, you know, sometime down the road I have to decide, do we go modern and chic, and that way it's per se timeless.
Right.
Things that seem to be cool now,
right,
after 5 or 10 years become outdated.
Right.
So sometimes it's just better to stick to the standard format.
Right.
So there are different trains of thought. So I'm trying to make do my homework and make a
right.
educated guess.
Yeah.
Of course, everything you touch, every time you lift up the hammer, they say it costs money.
Right.
So the ideas don't cost money, but
right.
every time you have to put up new wallpaper, put up paint.
Right.
Yes, the purple paint might look good, but finding that purple paint, the same shade 5 years later, when you want to repaint some areas, you can't find it.
Right.
So that's maybe why a lot of people just go with pure white.
Sure. And if you want to save money, you can do a lot of the work yourself. You can have, hire a staff for a reasonable rate. Mm-hmm. I've had my staff do a lot of work and still do. Mm-hmm. Some of the really difficult stuff, then I've had, companies come in and it's been pricey, but they've done a really good job. But we're getting the stairs painted, and that'll be one of my staff members who's going to do that. Right. I think I pay well, but it's a part-time job, so I'm paying a part-time job wage. Yeah.
So you're a host. So do you, when you travel, do you stay at Airbnb places?
Oh, dirty question. Right.
Yes, exactly.
Honestly, I haven't yet. I know it's terrible. I have stayed at similar. In Paris, I stayed at a guest house, and it was a similar service to Airbnb. Mm-hmm. And I do intend to stay at some Airbnbs, but I haven't yet. Actually, I haven't traveled much recently. And usually...
well, since you've been doing this from 2015, I thought you might have checked out the competition. This
is over. No comment.
Okay, no comment. Moving right along.
Over.
Okay, maybe potential last question. Have you had any trouble with the Airbnb app or difficult guess?
Right. Yeah. No, about your previous one, I was teasing, but yeah, no, I definitely want to stay at some Airbnbs. I'd probably stay for sure with a super host just to make sure I got a good host. Mm-hmm. And I would probably stay with a host that was I don't know, probably off site, because that's kind of the way I like to host. I don't really want to be with them in the room, but I'd like them to be available if I need them.
But isn't the superhost, is that something you apply for as a host, and then, or does it depend on you get a number of visitors to your, or guests to your establishment, and then you get a whole bunch of positive reviews, then you become a superhost? Is that how it works?
Basically, yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, you have to have a certain level of 4.8 out of 5 is your rating. And it's a challenge to consistently get that, but that's what you need to get. And you have to have a certain a number of guests, and can't cancel, and there are different criteria. But basically what you said is it.
Okay, so if I'm looking for a business partner in the future, then I should try to link up with a superhost.
That'd be a good idea. Yeah, they know how to do it. They know how to. Yeah, and if they've been a superhost for a while, that's a good thing. Getting there and then keeping it. Yeah. Sorry, your last question again? What was?
Have you had any trouble with Airbnb app, or any difficult, quote unquote, difficult or challenging guests?
Yes, yes to both. I've had thousands of guests.
Wow, thousands.
And so 99% of the time, I don't know, 95% of the time, everything's fine and it's easy. And then there's maybe the 5% of the time where it's not. Someone's very picky and it's difficult. Maybe I shouldn't even say picky. They don't like what you're offering. It was a mistake. They probably shouldn't have booked it, or somehow they saw the pictures and it looked like what they wanted, but it wasn't, or maybe that kind of person anyway. You can't please everyone. So you have to let it kind of wash off you. I've had people fall down the stairs and break their legs. And then we've been trying to help them get, care and all that. There have been incidents like that I heard about after the fact. The guest actually didn't tell me that, the wife fell down the stairs and got hurt. And I actually messaged the guest. I actually heard from a neighbor, because the neighbor had a restaurant next door, and I guess they heard it. Haven't had anything major. Haven't had like a major crime or anything. Haven't had anyone die, thankfully. Things have gotten broken here and there. One guy had the heater too close to the futon, burnt the futon. It could have potentially been very terrible. Now we don't you can't move a heater next to the futon, and we don't have that kind of heater. Basically, you kind of have to troubleshoot and imagine what could people possibly do. And then there have been quite a few guests who didn't know how to use a Western style toilet. They stand on the toilet, and so we have signs that show you how to use a toilet. People who'd never been out of their country before, and so those were things I maybe I should have imagined, but didn't.
I often wondered, well, who were those signs for? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, you actually need them. Yeah. It's rare, but you do need them. One thing I really advise is, maybe once you know who your guests are, really learn about them. In my case, a lot of our guests have been Chinese. I've never been to China. I've known Chinese Canadians, but they're Canadians. I've met Chinese people here and there, but it was tough at first, because kind of my expectations and I guess theirs weren't really matching. It was difficult to get them to follow rules. I had signs in English and messaging in English. I realized that they're a bit like me with Japanese. It's kind of like, okay, this is not for me. I can't read it, so it's not my information. So once I got that down, got some translations done, had some messages for them in Chinese. I studied about China, and I studied just on my own Chinese culture, how they deal with their neighbors and all that stuff. And then I tried to get across my expectations for staying at my place, that this is my place. It's not a hotel. This is my place that I have a lot of pride in. And I want you to respect that too. And then once that happened, things were just so much smoother.
Oh, really?
Once they sort of knew the rules. Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
And I don't mean to pick on Chinese people. Chinese people are the bread and butter. Thank you for coming. Yeah, I'm just saying that I, decided to really learn how to please them, how to deal with them, and then things got a lot better. So if your guests are going to be, I don't know, Americans, I know you know about America, of course you do, but whoever they're going to be, I would become an expert on those people if you aren't at the moment. And,
when I've stayed at Airbnb before, a lot of the hosts sometimes have a couple beers in the fridge, and some water, maybe some bread, maybe some coffee. So at least once you get in late at night or you wake up in the morning, you still have something you can nibble on before going to a supermarket, for example. So that's really nice. That seems to be the trend. And they may have a fruit bowl out on top of the table. Maybe some local fruit, bananas or peaches or something like that. Not overly expensive or something that's rot very quickly. Those are very nice touches. Even a bottle of wine is not expensive, maybe from Yamaya. $700, 700 yen, bottle of wine or something. But those little touches seem to be very popular. Are there any touches that you have stamped your property with?
Yeah, we offer coffee and tea, but I probably not every time. It sort of depends. I think from what you described, kind of your area in the Caribbean, and your potential profit margins, I would definitely do that. In our case, at times, I sort of feel we're offering like a really nice place to stay, so that's enough. But we have done that. But I think it's a really good idea. Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. During COVID, I feel, honestly speaking, we're being honest here, I feel poor during COVID. So I'm hoping when things get better, then maybe I can do that more. But but it's a great idea. Yeah, it's a great idea. Someone comes in and they can have something like that. At times I have. Yeah.
You have a guest book when they come and stay at your place and then they write a memo to other guests, try the coffee shop down the street on the left, or do you have that in any of your properties?
I've got a website. I've got a blog that, and I've got the address on the fridge. Like, please check out my blog, and it's got recommendations. And then at Airbnb, I've also got a guest book. But actually, I don't have a physical guest book like that. But we have pamphlets there. I don't have anything that they can sign. But I've thought about that before, and I've talked about that before. It's a good idea. Yeah, I just haven't got around to that.
Yeah, a couple of the properties I stayed at have something like that. So it's kind of nice for the guests to see what other people have written.
Right, would they enjoy it or,
Most of the time, they leave positive comments.
Right.
Sometimes it's just like a mother traveling with the kids. On their honeymoon. And Kevin really went the whole 9 yards to make this special trip, our honeymoon, so special.
Sure. Yeah.
So it really, maybe if they were upset about the faucet leaking, but maybe if they read these comments from other guests, then it helps bring down the temperature.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. Yeah. Speaking of which, when things do go wrong, I try to go to the extra mile to fix it. I mean, if I could fix it right away, boom, I get someone in to fix it. Sometimes it's not possible. Fairly often it's not possible. A light broke. A guest broke the light. I think unfortunately, it was destined to be broken. I'm not blaming the guest. I didn't charge the guest. But the problem is we had guests checking in the next day, and they were staying for 2 weeks, which turned into a month. So it was over the dining table. So it was an important light. So we had an electrician go in, and he sort of set up a temporary light. And then we still have to get that fixed. And it's a special light that came from Canada. It's kind of a Victorian Tiffany light. So we don't want to get rid of it. We want to somehow save it if we can, save the style of it. So yeah, we're still working on that. I was going to offer the guests something, but then I thought, well, they booked a 1 month stay. It came up to 1 month, and they got 20% off. It's a discount as well. So I didn't offer anything extra. But when something like that happens and they haven't gotten a discount already, I usually say, hey, I'm really sorry about this. And I'm sorry that I can't fix it right away. But if you want to come back on a future stay, I will give you like a 20% off discount. Just remind me of what happened. In one case, the fridge was not working. So boom, we got another fridge in within, I think, a day. Yeah, we got a new fridge in. So they're appreciative of that. And yeah, just try to fix it if you can. Yeah, really do your best to fix it and as quickly as you can. So and if not, then
once you're hosting, do you have contact or phone calls or emails from actual representative from Airbnb, or are you pretty much on your own?
You can contact Airbnb if you have a problem. They encourage you to work it out between you and the guest, but you can involve the help department if you want to. And I didn't answer your other question about the app. There was a weird thing recently. I asked Airbnb about this. I don't know. I think it was some kind of hack or some kind of glitch. But I got a guy asking if he could stay. And this glitch or whatever it was said, if you don't host this person, your calendar will be blocked anyway. And I thought, what? That's never happened before. And actually I asked Airbnb and they said that's not a policy. So I don't know. I guess that was some kind of hack or a glitch or weird. So that's one thing that comes to mind. The help department is it's not the greatest, to be honest. It takes a while to sort of communicate. I don't know why that is. I really think Airbnb's help department should be better. Yeah, in my opinion, I'm not so satisfied with it. You have to be very patient because so you'll send an email and they'll contact you and you've already told them the problem. They haven't read it. So you've got to tell them the problem again. I don't know why that is, but that's the situation. So you kind of have to calm yourself down when you're going to deal with them. And you're dealing with someone based somewhere, probably from their home, working for Airbnb, and of various sort of skill levels. Some of them are great, but some of them aren't. But
in most cases, you don't need to have contact with corporate.
Rarely. Yeah, a few times a year, I deal with the help department. Yeah, but it's rare. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, well, basically, those are all the questions I have for now. I'm sure I'll come up with a couple others. So
yeah, please do.
Part 2 of this.
Thank you. I think this is valuable for lots of people. So yeah, it's been good. Yeah, no, your questions are great. Yeah, you really got me thinking about it. And I've certainly made mistakes along the way. And you've obviously researched this a lot, which is great. And you've even watched some of my videos. Thank you. I think I think your ideas about how to decorate and your thinking is really good, and probably better than mine was. I decorated and then I decorated the one place and then started the Airbnb afterwards. And the Canadian house was already done. I was kind of like, this is the way it's going to be. And that's it. But I like your idea of researching it and what works and then doing it all that way.
Thank you very much for spending your evening with me. And
you, Delano.
I wish you a future success.
And back at you. Yes.
Yeah. And I'll keep you posted on my journey. Airbnb.
Please do. Yeah, please do. Thanks, bye.
Right. Have a good one.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. See you.
Bye.
See you.